Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Mix's Review. Thank you so much for all the support and comments on the show. We're really enjoying to get back to you guys. And if you don't know what we do here, we take a look at all the flavors, pick a mixer, and then look at the body of work all together. So we each mix up a recipe or two of them, and we just talk about it in the show. So today we've decided to mix up mlNikon or Emily. It's a pretty big show for us. I mean, Emily is quite active in the DIY scene. So yeah, I hope she enjoys this, and I hope everybody else that enjoy her mixes are also watching this show. Richard, are you going to kick off?
I'll kick off. Anytime you mix up Emily, you've got to start with the recipe that kind of put her on the map, which is, of course, Inagata de Vida. So named after the Iron Butterfly heavy metal song. I don't know what this has to do with heavy metal, but it's 2% TFA papaya, 1.5% FA pomegranate, 2% cap sweet tangerine. So it's your classic three-fruit mix where the three fruits come together and create a whole that is more than the sum of its parts, so to speak. This is one of the most popular recipes on all the flavors. It's got, I don't know, at last count, I think it was more than 20 five-star ratings on it. So it's one of the DIY classics. And it's easy to see why when you vape it. I mean, pomegranate isn't a fruit that is used an awful lot in mixes, and its use here is really excellent. For me, this juice and the three ingredients are like a three-piece band. The pomegranate is the drums, the cap sweet tangerine is the guitar, and the TFA papaya is the bass guitar. So you've got this very solid body coming in from the pomegranate, sort of dark, syrupy sweet, but also with a little bit of astringency pomegranate note. That is lifted up by the sort of treble notes of the cap sweet tangerine, that bright, sweet, narchy tangerine type flavor. And then the papaya, to me, just kind of bridges the two. It's a juice that holds together very well. It's very intriguing. It's very different. I get more of a fleshy, pulpy, syrupy type of fruit than a fruit juice. This isn't a beverage. It's the actual the real fruit. That pomegranate is it's modified by the tangerine into something that is very tasty for me. Pomegranate is normally not one of my favorite fruits, and I think there's a reason why it's not used that much. It's a bit of an acquired taste. But for me, and this is a feature of a lot of Emily's recipes, is there's a darker, heavier note and a lighter, brighter note, which counterpoint each other. And that, in this recipe, comes from the pomegranate and the sweet tangerine, where that tangerine just lifts the pomegranate up into much more palatable and enjoyable territory for me. What did you think of it, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit, a couple of steps back, what Richard said, exactly the same train of thought there. I've always wanted to mix up Inagata de Vida because I can still remember the show where Skittles was going on about it. And I think at that point I couldn't get pomegranate. And so therefore I couldn't mix up this mix, right? And I just totally forgot about it. But, as soon as Leilani asked us to, that's why we're doing Emily, I think, oh, and Emily also said, why don't we mix her up? Because, you know, she's a hot mixer. I said, we only do hot mixers. And she's like, I'm a hot mixer. Anyway, Leilani also mentioned, you know, we might need to look at Emily's stuff. But, you know, there was some controversy there, you know. And I remember watching that comp, and I love that, you know, that whole competition, and the way it progressed. You know, it's kind of sad that we don't have those anymore. It really helps, you know, bring up a little bit of hype and shit talk in the scene. And now with that, we don't have it anymore. It's difficult to find the banging recipes out there. There's just hordes of recipes everywhere, you know, and everybody's eyes was on this competition. Now, how this competition worked was you had to be voted in, you know, so mixers had to vote you in. And I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't on Reddit at the time. I still don't spend that much time on Reddit, but, you know, there was some controversy about why Emily was added to, you know, the competition. You know, people didn't think she was, you know, how can I say it? She wasn't at the level to be mixing in that competition. And then, you know, she, I think one of, I'm not 100% sure exactly what show it was, but, you know, she got the attention of Skittles with Inagata Davida, and he was raving about it. And it's just, you know, it's just nice to see that where she came from and where she is now. You know, she hosts the Noted show, and she came from a, you know, background where people were kind of dissing her skill level, and there was a whole thread about it on Reddit apparently. And, you know, she just kind of like carried through, you know, and look at her now. She's one of the most active DIYs and most talked about, you know, as far as I know. But anyway, back to the notes on the recipe. Exactly the same as Richard. I needed to mix this up to see what this was all about, because this really put her on the map. Yeah, you know, here's the thing about it though. Papaya and pomegranate is probably one of the things that I would walk past in a vegetable, fruit and veg store. I won't stop for papaya, and other people would. My sister and my mother love that stuff, and I can't bear the thought of it. You know, it has this ripe kind of, you know, funkiness to it that just doesn't sit well with me. Pomegranate though, you know, itself, it's, when you eat a pomegranate, it's kind of dry. It's, you know, it's got the sweetness, and then it's followed with like a dryness and like a bitterness, you know what I mean? Or bitterness and then a dryness, you know, at the end. So, you know, you get that sweetness, which is nice, but then it's, you know, followed with the like nasty, dry bitterness. But, you know, I still bought the concentrates because I wanted to mix this up and see what it does. Because, you know, here's the thing. You mix three fruits together, and if it's the three correct ones, then it, you know, transcends into something else. What I did find here was that exactly the same as Richard. So for me, I can taste the papaya in here, and, you know, the pomegranate. It just feels like the sweet tangerine. You know, it was added to this mix just to, you know, add a citrusiness to it, maybe make the pomegranate and the papaya a little bit brighter. It almost feels like a papaya with a pomegranate tail, or a finish with a pomegranate, you know, that bitterness at the end. This is extremely authentic. This is definitely not on the, you know, in the candy, on the candy side and the sweeter side. This is authentic fruits, and it's not really in my wheelhouse, you know. So it's difficult for me to rate this extremely high. But, you know, as far as pairing flavors together, you know, who would think to pair pomegranate, papaya, and sweet tangerine, you know, and having a pretty decent three-fruit mix. Not a lot of people, and I think I can, commend her on that, because it's a pretty weird and wonderful mix of fruits. So yeah, I rated this about a 3 out of 5. Richard, how did you do?
Yeah, I don't really rate stuff normally. I would say with this, again, it's not in my wheelhouse either. I don't really do plain fruits, but of the fruit mixes that I've tried, this is one of the better ones. If I had to put a figure to it, probably a 4 out of 5. What I like about it is that with different drags, I get different notes. Sometimes the pomegranate stands out more for me. Sometimes I can taste the tangerine, and occasionally I just get the odd drag where that papaya comes through cleanly. And now that for me is indicative of an intriguing and well-balanced juice, where you're getting different notes from it at different times. I think she understands the 3 flavors well. She used them well together. So if you're into that type of thing, a fruit that isn't just, straight sweet candy fruit or a beverage, a lemonade or whatever, if you're into authentic, intriguing and different fruit combos, this is one of the best recipes out there for
Yeah, I agree with you, Richard. If you're looking for authentic fruits, like Rudy does the same thing. If he mixes up a fruit, he's going for an authentic fruit, unsweetened. He really wants to, live that fantasy of that real fruit. And if that's what I'm looking at here, that she accomplished very well over here. I mean, these are very authentic flavors, and they merge very well together. It's just unfortunate that these are flavors that I actually don't mess around with. So, Deetz, yeah?
All right, so I did the green breeze, and let's start with the percentages. It's at 1% cap cucumber, 4% FW kiwi, 0.5% cap super sweet, and 2.5% wild melon. Now, I've not bought cucumber before, and wild melon I've also not bought before. This is also a little bit out of my flavor range normally. Cucumber, because it's cucumber, and I wouldn't normally think about putting that with something sweet. And the wild melon I never bought because I specifically do not like papaya. Not even a little bit of it. And in this, there is that tropical melon mention, which to me sounds like papaya, and normally is. But this was actually a very, very interesting juice. It's very refreshing, a very light juice, but it's still flavorful from the wild melon, the way the wild melon and the kiwi blends together. I would say personally, the kiwi for me, I normally like to either use a low percentage kiwi, or if it is higher at like 4%, a bit higher than I would normally use it. Then I prefer it after about 5 to 7 days steep. I would say 5 minimum, because it adds a little bit of an earthiness to a juice, and this also had it for the first few days. I would say from the 4th day that kiwi earthiness blended more into a juicy kiwi. The cucumber was very interesting for me. It's very similar in the way that cactus does what it does, but it does it with less flavor than cactus. The cucumber here is at 1%. Now, I haven't used this before, but I would imagine this is the highest I would use it in a juice. It's quite high, but also I would say perfect, because I haven't used it before. But what it does here is very much, it blends together in a way that you would imagine a juice, an actual juice with these fruits would taste like. In a way that it's the cucumber adds a lot of wetness, the kiwis, the juice, and the melons. The wild melon is the sugar, where I would say the sugar comes from, apart from what the kiwi gives you. It's light, but on my XL I get that the tropical melon from the wild melons, it has a ring of papaya for me. That was the only thing that for me if it wasn't the papaya, maybe just a full watermelon, that would have been ADV for me. Other than my personal preference, my wife is actually a big fan of this, and she said she rates it a 5 because she says so. So that's a rule. I would have rated it a 4 because of the papaya. 4.5. It blends together very, very well, especially for the kiwi. I expected the kiwi to be kind of break the profile for me the whole time, but it might be the way it blends with the wild melons. I haven't used the wild melons before, but it goes together very well. All in all, a good fruit juice for if you are a fruity juice lover. It's a good juice. It's very moist. That cucumber definitely gives you like a more water moist than. It's difficult to explain. It's like the cactus, but not the flavor of the cactus is not there. There is the flavor of the cucumber, but it's a lot more subtle.
Yeah. So there's a couple of people that really rave about that cucumber. It goes into pretty much all their fruity mixes just for that, the wetness to the mix. And I can immediately pick it out in any juice. I don't dislike it. Some people use it quite sparingly, and it's quite decent. It's quite nice. But yeah, I haven't bought it yet.
It must be the same. If you can pick it out of any juice, it must be to you very similar to what cactus, even in low percentages, is to Rich. Some people like it, some people don't. But as someone who uses a lot of cactus a lot, this is less potent in flavor in the recipe. Maybe I would say less noticeable than cactus at the same percentage. But this is a lighter on the flavor side. It is lighter. It's not a very. I get it at 1%, but I wouldn't have used it at 1%. I would personally have used it by possibly, I think, 0.5% to get that wetness going that it has. I mean, imagine this in like a fruit blend or something.
Yeah, it's good.
The cucumber definitely gives you that water wetness instead of a sugary. But it all goes together very nice. I like it. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
Right. For my second recipe of Emily's, I went for Nillas and Nanas. This draws its inspiration from a very similar recipe by Verve. It's basically just a vanilla pudding with wafers in it. At least a banana pudding with vanilla wafers in it. Emily says in her notes that she wanted a little bit more of the wafer note, of the biscuit note in the pudding, so she just tweaked the recipe slightly. Her recipe is 3% TFA banana cream, 1.5% Flavor West graham cracker, 0.5% FA meringue, 2% cap sugar cookie, and 0.75% of TFA vanilla swirl. And for me, this absolutely does what it sets out to do. I tasted Verve's original, and it was a very nice, flavorful banana pudding, but without a great deal of crusty or wafer texture to it. Emily's just dialed up the bakery notes slightly, and it now registers very well that the graham crust note comes through well with that soft banana pudding with sort of accented with vanilla behind it. For me, it's just like a instant packet banana pudding with a sort of cheesecake crust underneath it. And I mean, who doesn't like that? A nice, sweet, artificial banana pudding with a little bit of crunch to it. For me, it's quite a subtle
crunch
flavor. And quite a subtle flavor as well. It is flavorful. It's not underflavored. I don't think you could go much more with it, but it's kind of gentle. It's like a banana pudding is anyway. It's not a flavor that's going to assault the taste buds. So it's a type of juice that I use, again, similar to milk and honey. I use it as kind of just to give the taste buds a rest. I vape this for half an hour. Just helps to reset the taste buds a bit. It's a gentle and subtle flavor, but absolutely bang on. That lovely semi-thick instant banana pudding, but just with that nice little bit of graham crunch underneath it. Was that your take as well, Theo?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what I wrote here. Absolutely 100% instant banana pudding type flavor with a wafer snap on the tail. Boom. You know, it's not a heavy wafer. It's very subtle. So, I expect Verve's one to even be more subtle than this. But, if the wafer, if you add a little bit more of the wafer, it would distract from the main profile here, which is the banana pudding. Okay. But it's a super yummy banana pudding that she's put together here. If you look at the ingredients, and this is why I chose this one, 3% TFA banana cream, my favorite banana cream out there. 1.5 Flavor West graham cracker, my favorite graham cracker out there. 0.5 FA meringue. Meringue is, extremely popular as well. 2% cap sugar cookie. That's really popular. I have V1. 0.75% TFA vanilla swirl. Vanilla swirl is extremely popular as well. I just didn't see this mix going wrong, and it didn't. It was extremely nice. So yeah, if you vape this before about 7 days, you're going to get a couple of funny off notes because that vanilla swirl and that banana cream hasn't fully blended yet. But after about 5 days, it blends out quite nicely, and it's beautiful. So not full on thick, but definitely a thicker pudding, not overly rich or dark. So for a dessert snack, so for a dessert nut who wants a banana dessert, try this one out. This is the one to go for. What actually sold me on this is the picture that Emily chose for this recipe, and it just goes to show how important that is for picture people like me. I know a lot of people think it's quite funny to add like a meme in the picture, but it doesn't fully embody what you're putting out there. And, to be honest with you, the first thing that got my attention for this recipe is just that picture, and I'll throw it down below so that people can see what I'm talking about. It's just this glass, and you can see banana and like yellow pudding and a dollop of cream with these bits of cookie, in it. And that's exactly what I'm getting here. So I bet you she spent a lot of time looking for the right picture off the internet so she can use it over here. And it just goes to show how important that is. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I love me some banana. And, I rated this a 4 out of 5. I can actually go a little bit higher, to be honest, because it was just so bang on with the description. You know what I mean? And the picture. So I love this.
Yeah, I'd give that a 4 as well. And also the importance of flavor notes or recipe notes. I mean, she outlines in the recipe notes what she was looking to get, that it's referenced from Verve's recipe, but that she was looking to get a little bit more of a vanilla wafer note out of it. So you know already what she's trying to achieve with the recipe. And that's just such a help when you, or such an inducement when you're looking through recipes, when notes are clearly laid out and you know what to expect from the juice. You get people who go on ATF and they say, I have to put a 10-word flavor description, so here it is, mix this up. No, I'm not going to mix it up. If you can't be bothered to tell me what the juice is about, don't expect me to mix it. Put in a little bit of effort.
Exactly. But
I know why you haven't mixed any of my recipes.
Fucking Deetz with the shitty descriptions.
It's best, yo, just mix.
This is Deetz, yo, just mix this up. It's bagging. It's sick as tits.
Okay, so that leaves me to now wax lyrical about Emily's other stuff. Two of the things I noticed about Emily, the thing I like most about her, other than the sort of very bright, sunny presence that she brings to the vaping community, is that her the mixes that she makes are all sound intriguingly delicious. They're the type of thing that you want to try just from reading about them and just from looking what flavor she's using there. And that was the case with this next one, which is Here Come the Boys. Now, we've talked already about the vanilla banana pudding that she did with Nillas and Nanas. Here Come the Boys also uses banana cream, but in a completely different application. This is 4.5% TFA banana cream, 1.3% FA cream fresh, 3.5% Flavor West creme de menthe, and 2% Cap French vanilla. Now, full disclaimer, when this recipe first appeared, I mixed it up using subs. I used FW candy cane instead of the Flavor West creme de menthe. I used TFA French vanilla instead of Cap, and it was disastrous. So it was one of the worst subbing experiences that I had. It was really terrible. So once I got the correct flavors, I was very keen to mix it up and just see what I'd been missing. And this is very, very different. Banana with mint is not a combination that you see very often, and for good reason. It's a combination that could go wrong very, very easily. Second disclaimer, I'm very, very picky about mint in juices. I don't like upfront, in-your-face mint. I like my mint to be layered in very subtly. It must just be an accent to the main note rather than this brain-freezingly, face-blastingly heavy, cold mint that many mixers seem to favor. So I was a little apprehensive about this with the 3.5% FW creme de menthe. But on tasting it, I have to say this works absolutely perfectly because it suits my palate to a T. It's a very subtle, smooth blend. She again gets that very creamy, smooth banana thing going on with the cream fresh, the French vanilla, and the TFA banana cream. The FW creme de menthe just infuses it with a very subtle hint of mint. She describes it as putting a dollop of mint into a banana ice cream or shake, and that's pretty much how it registers. What I've found on this is that the banana is quite subtle. It comes through a little bit more on the exhale. On the inhale, in the first part of the exhale, I'm just getting that mint, and then the banana cream sort of takes over. But it's very, very well balanced. I'd maybe increase the banana cream by 0.5% or 1% just to make it a little bit more prominent. But the creme de menthe is perfect. That is exactly the sort of level of mint that I go for. So this is very much like the Nillas and Nanas. It's a gentle, easygoing vape, especially for a mint. Very good palate cleanser, and highly recommended for that. There are not very many juices you're going to taste that mix mint and banana, and this one does it to a very accomplished level. Theo, do you have another one, or?
No. But so if you've done the thing that I did, which was go after the Kuprian hype, and you bought creme de menthe, and you're looking for something to use it in, this would be the one, right?
Absolutely. That's another thing about these two mixes. They use flavors that are very common. So these are good beginner recipes to try. They're easy to mix. There's no really esoteric, rare, expensive concentrates in them. And they kind of, to me, epitomize what DIY is all about. They're more subtle, layered flavors. It's not this heavy, commercial, sweetened, brain freeze, fruity blast in your face type of juice. If you want to find out what DIY juice is all about, these two recipes by Emily are very fitting, as is the last one that I tried, which is
I feel like Richard just threw a little bit of shade there, and
what did you just say?
It was
these
subtle,
in your
but...
face, fruit mixes. What do you mean?
Sorry?
What do you mean with your comment about fruit mixes? That's in your face.
No, these 15% FA Fuji, 5% WS23, 5% Cap Super Sweet mixes.
Where did you get my recipe? That's exactly what I have in my...
No,
Where can I find that recipe?
I've sold it to several vendors already, dude.
Yeah, sorry, Rich. You were saying?
Okay. So we've covered the Emily Banana Cream sort of sub-theme. There's another sub-theme, which is her use of mint. She likes using mint. So for my last one, I chose Eat Your Tart Out, which now uses a different mint. This one is 2.5% Flavor West Blueberry, 2% FA Custard, 0.7% Hangson French Vanilla Ice Cream, 2% Cap Lemon Meringue Pie, and 0.2% Inawera Natural Mint. Now, Inawera Natural Mint is a mile away from FW Creme de Menthe. Very, very different. The Inawera Natural Mint has that very potent but quite natural taste to it. So it's a lot harder to use and to layer in correctly and at the right sort of prominence level than a milder, weaker flavor like FW Creme de Menthe is. But Emily has done it again here. I mean, the flavor profile is a tart that has blueberries and mint, but sort of infused with lemon. So what I'm getting here is that the three main notes, the blueberries, the lemon, and the mint, are absolutely perfectly balanced. You can taste all three, but the blueberry is the hero, with the mint and the lemon just kind of backing them up and complementing that trademark FW blueberry flavor. The pie also shows up surprisingly well, considering it's only 2% of Cap Lemon Meringue Pie, but you get that nice that soft velvety filling sort of feel to it, and just again a teeny little bit of the crust. It's not very crust prominent, but I don't think it was supposed to be. She was focusing more on the filling here. I was actually very surprised with how the Inawera Natural Mint came out. Because it's so potent, I was expecting a blast of mint, but it's not. It's very similar to the Here Come the Boys. It's layered in so that it's just an accent for the blueberries. It doesn't take over at all. It just backs up that main blueberry note. It's very clean and fresh, which I think is helped by the lemon too. The pie is subtle, but it does register definitely as a pie rather than just as a fruit mix or as a pie filling. So very, very finely crafted recipe, very well balanced, and again, very different. It's not often that you're going to get, blueberry and mint together. Obviously, blueberry and lemon is a very popular pairing, but not so much with mint. And again, something that I was a little bit apprehensive about. Do I want to taste mint with my blueberries? But she's pulled it off beautifully, and I would give this a 4.5 only because I would maybe give Simply Cannoli a 5 and St. Louis Buttercake are probably the only two juices I've ever tasted that I'd give a 5. So when I give this a 4.5, that is that's high praise indeed. A little bit more difficult to make because that Inawera Natural Mint isn't that easy to source, and it's probably not a beginner sort of flavor. It's not a staple flavor. But if you do have it, very well worth mixing up this one. It's a cracking juice.
Cool, man. Does that wrap up all the mixes that we've done, Rich?
That's the 4 that I did, yep.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say a word. Just now you guys cut me off again.
Yeah. Yeah, after Rich's comments, I thought you just left the conversation.
Yeah.
Fuck this show. I'm done.
I'm out.
Listen, Emily, thank you so much for all these recipes. Going
Thanks,
through
Emily.
them, I just realized how much effort you put into everything, that you do. And, we seriously, appreciate all of it on our side. Thank you so much for all these recipes. Keep on putting them out. I personally stayed away from the Mix and Vixen ones because, those are recipes that you guys just mix up once, to chase a specific flavor. I just went for the recipes that were ones that you kind of churned out, obviously had a couple of variations. So yeah, if you are looking at Emily's profile, just be aware of that. The Mix and Vixen recipes is where they chase a profile. Maybe that hasn't got that many variations behind it, but there's a ton of recipes to go through, and all of them are quite nice and decently noted. Lots of text, lots of pictures and everything. So yeah, thank you very much, Emily. Hope you enjoyed the shows. Let us know what you think about the recipes that we mixed up. Also, let us know if there's anything, that we missed out on, or, some more information that you needed. But thank you so much for watching the show. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.